is here today. I'm really excited for this show tonight. So glad that we're here. What we'd like to do is make sure that if you're watching this, tag and share it. You never know who needs this information that we'll be talking about tonight. So, Mark, I'll just turn it over to you and let you share why we do elevate your profits.
I'm glad you asked that question. I'm going to steal a phrase here off the page itself. Elevate your profits. If you ever go to the site, it says to better people's lives and to be a force for good in the world. And with that stated, what that means is it's about your business. We do talk money, but also we talk about people and their causes, their beliefs out there. We want to learn from you, and we welcome anybody to come on this platform and share with us what you're doing, whether you're in technology, the healthcare profession, uh, business. You could be an accountant. You could be your own business owner, solopreneur. You could be a real estate investor. We welcome you to come on here. Someone that's written a book, man, we would truly welcome that as well. We've had people that have been authored, and I'm not going to bore everybody with that right now because we have a guest on. But that's the whole intent purpose for us to share to you, the public, and we get engaged and we learn from each other and what we're doing in today's world and how things are working for everybody, or maybe not working, but they're looking to improve. Tom, that's pretty
Yeah.
much what it means to me for what we do here today.
Yeah, and I'll just expound a little bit on that as well, and then we'll get into introducing Jim, and I'll turn that back to you here in a second. But myself, being an entrepreneur since 1983, I'm psychologically unemployable. I like to tell people, and so uh, Jim's laughing over there. But I like the fact that I can take control of my own destiny, and so I've done many different businesses in many different industries. But my passion is with this program is to inspire that person out there that has a gift or a talent they can take to the marketplace and go into business, whether it be part time or you make a full time commitment to it. Yes, is it easy? Is everybody going to succeed in business? No, most businesses fail uh, in the first 5 years. But you're in control of your own future, your own destiny. You're building your own dreams. You're not working for somebody else to build their dreams. So I'm all about helping people understand what it takes to win in business. I like the mindset. The threads of our thoughts become the garments we wear. What we think about the most manifests itself in our lives, whether it be in our relationships, our faith, our businesses, or whatever. So I'm really about the mindset of what it takes to win in business. And so I'll probably address some of those questions to Jim, but I'm going to turn it back to you, Mark. Before we introduce our guests, I'm going to play our little intro video, and then we'll get right back to it. We'll be right back. Here we are back. Mark Gassert.
All right. Hey, man. Thank you, Tom. So let's talk about Jim here. Jim Skurski. He's a franchise owner, and not by choice, and he'll explain that later on. Certified home inspector for Pillar to Post. He's well known, and I'm going to let Jim toot his own horn. But one of the things that caught my eye, he has out here on one of his posts. He says, "Have you ever heard about comprehensive interactive visual inspection summary?" And I'll let him delve into that because we've had Jim on here about home inspections, and he's going to talk about the importance of why you want to consider that. Now, earlier today, I said, hey, if you're a real estate professional, a real estate investor, a potential home buyer, a home seller, one that flips homes. I have a friend that does that as well, and a potential home buyer or even a homeowner. Jim's going to get into, the importance of home inspection and some of the things he does. I put on here in the post about the ultimate home inspection. I love this. And it's a picture of Jim. It's like his landing page, hot water heaters, plumbing, electrical, structural, walls, ceilings, floors, decks, and more. And man, if you own a home like some of us do, and I know Tom has in the past, and he still does, regardless if you live in a condo or a townhome, it never goes away, does it, Jim? Of
Yeah.
repairs, inspections. Guess what? My dryer went dead today, so there's something I got to worry about. It never stops.
No.
And that's the joy of owning your home and all that fun stuff. And but with that, Jim, welcome. And why don't you tell the folks how you and I initially met?
Okay. Yes. So Mark and I met at the Peachtree Corners Business Association. I was actually introduced there by another colleague, but I met Mark. When was it? About a year ago now, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so his wife had bought him a membership, and I had been going there for a couple of months, and decided to join as well. And yeah, we just networked with the Peachtree Corners local businesses and get to know one another, and yeah, it's quite a community there. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jim, what's even funny, out of that evolved, and I do we get involved with different type of training for people, since I'm with Sales Concepts. Anybody that deals with
Yes.
customers, and
Yep.
Jim actually became a customer as well. He's
Yeah.
taken some of our programs, our platforms, and I know we all have time management, all those fun things, scheduling. And with what you do day in and day out, I know you encounter those things a lot, and
Oh,
you shared
yes.
that
Yeah.
with us as well. But is there anything? And the reason I wanted to get you on here today, you talked about some of your new services. I know you're kind of excited about one of them, because we've talked about this in the past, how sometimes customers or clients will ghost you, and
Yeah.
you've got a new tool to your tool bag on your web page or whatever, that hopefully you're gonna decrease that. Could you share that with us?
Yeah. Are you referring to the visual inspection summary, or that one's fairly new, but well, I guess you want me to start there?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay. So yeah, what we brand is the PTP 360, or the Pillar to Post 360. It's a visual inspection summary. So, and that's included with all of our inspection packages, but essentially it's a virtual 3D tour of the house with the inspection pictures and comments embedded in the tour pictures. So we take pictures of the exterior, interior, every room, and whenever we find an issue when we're inspecting, those pictures and comments from the inspection report end up in this visual inspection summary, hence the name. And as far as I know, no other home inspection company is doing that. I've been doing it for 3 years now, so it's not new to me, but most people still don't really know that we do that, and so that's why I always like to bring that up.
Well, Jim, it sounds like that enhanced level of reporting the inspection is sort of like your customers standing over your shoulder, watching what you do and listening to your comments and making comments and pointing out the issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a live feed, but it's basically unless they're obviously there, they can follow me around. But essentially, it was created. One use is so that the agent and buyer don't have to revisit the house. For example, like if it's occupied, or if they live out of state or whatever, they can revisit the house, multiple times without, having to physically go there. And they can share this tour with their family and friends. So it's kind of like, as well, I was going to say, it's kind of like, the Be Connected, where you're someplace and Mark's someplace and I'm someplace, but we can share things. Well, this is kind of like the same thing, where you can share a link and kind of talk with one another and revisit the house together. That makes sense.
Sure does. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
one thing. The other thing is the estimates, what we call PTP estimates, and that comes with every inspection package that we offer. And essentially, what that is like any summary or repair items that we identify, you'll get a separate report on a repair quote, with local quote estimates. Say, for example, you need an electrician or a plumber. Those type of things, will actually get a quoted numeric currency value, so you can essentially budget for the repairs, or you know what I mean. So you can basically prep for those repairs, and you can either schedule it with the people that are vetted. You can use it as a first quote, or you can use just the numbers as a renegotiating tool back with the seller. So that's that. But then our latest, sorry if I'm going on and on, but our latest new offering, what we brand as PTP Connects, is actually a utility concierge. So whether you're moving in state or out of state, if you need help with, say, setting up your water bill, your electricity, your sewer, your trash, or internet, amongst other things, all of that can be handled. So all you have to worry about is moving from point A to point B. All the other stuff will be scheduled and turned on and or installed when you move in. So that's our latest offering. And then as far as my website, I have online booking now. So you can actually go to my website and look at my schedule and book me for an inspection. All, like, if you get up in the middle of the night, you can just, when my office is closed, you can, or anytime really, but you can just go on there, look at my schedule, and book an inspection with me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jim, could you put that in the chat so that, and then we'll put it up so people can see that?
Okay. Yes. All right. So let's see here.
Up in the right, up at the
Yes.
top at the.
Just type in the
Okay.
chat. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go to that. And then here.
Actually, I can do that as well.
Mr. Robert Booker, thanks for being here tonight. We appreciate your loyalty and showing up here. So
Yeah, that's the link to where you can go to my online booking, and essentially you just fill out the information and the services that you want. And I guess I should mention now, the two new services that I offer are sewer scope and termite
Oh, wow.
inspection. So yeah, those they're fairly new. I guess I just hadn't really marketed all that much. Maybe not too many people knew that I do all these other added services. I mean, that's just two of the added services that I do. But if you want, I can mention some of the other ones too, for people that haven't heard of me. So I can do like mold sampling, radon testing, formaldehyde, which is a new one from last year. I had a client that was from China, and he said that they do a lot of formaldehyde testing, like we do a lot of radon testing here.
Wow.
So there's that, and yeah, I mentioned sewer scope and termite inspection, water quality testing as well. So yeah, so those are all my added services that you can get with or without an inspection.
Right. I'm going to go back to this. You decided to go with a franchise route. You bought basically you're buying a business, right? A business model.
Yes. Yep.
What was your why? Why did you decide you go into business for yourself? Why don't you share what was your path to where you're at today, and hopefully it'll resonate with somebody else out there to take that
Sure,
step.
sure. So yeah, so I guess how I got into it was due to COVID, probably like most people. But I'm a say former engineer, but I mean I'm still an engineer, but I'm just I guess not a professional engineer anymore since I'm not being paid for that. But so I ended up finding the franchise, and I thought, okay, I'm an engineer and I'm also a photographer, which I guess I should back up a little bit too. My dad worked for Polaroid, so I grew up around cameras. I'm involved with my local photography club here in Peachtree Corners. And so I thought, okay, home inspection would be a good fit. I found Pillar to Post, and they had a lot of cool things that were going on, and I thought, okay, that's the franchise for me. So um, that's kind of how I ended up in home inspection. Let's see.
There's your contact info down there if anybody wants to reach out to Jim.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
so your
thanks.
phone number's down there. So if they load
Yes.
up and blow up your landing page here for appointments,
Yeah.
we can talk about what I possibly could earn in a commission. No, I'm teasing.
Oh, okay. Sure.
I wouldn't do that.
So you're in Peachtree Corners, Georgia, right?
That's correct. Yes. Yep.
And you're licensed in the state of Georgia.
Yeah. So I guess that's the other thing is in Georgia, it's an unregulated state. So I do have several certifications. However, Georgia's an unlicensed state. So if you just basically have a business license, you could become a home inspector. Obviously, with my education and background, I did a lot more than that. So I've done the American Home Inspector Training. I'm a member of ASHI, which is the American Society of Home Inspectors, and they have an exam, as well as the National Home Inspector exam, which all of the other regulated states need to take and pass before they get their licensing for their state. So so that's kind of my background and why I was gonna say why I think I'm a better inspector, but I have all of these additional credentials that I've taken the time to study and educate myself. So
And Jim, I'm going to jump in
yes.
here. It's still the same because Tom brought up a great point about licensing and getting certified.
Yes.
Or like you have some companies that have they frame homes. Is everybody out there working on a building, have a license versus certification? Can you explain the difference of that and the importance of that?
Yeah, so I guess the licensing is state regulated, whereas certification is more like private and or organization regulated. So again, like I'm part of ASHI, which is the American Society of Home Inspectors,
Mhm.
we have our own standards, and that's one thing that I do when I inspect. We have our standards of practice, and we have certain minimums that we need to look at for an inspection. Obviously, with
Right.
the that's just the bare minimum. We always try to go above that, and then with the regulated states, they usually start with that, but then they kind of add another layer on top of it, like state specific. Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we're in an anomaly as far as the market. How is that affecting your business? How's the real estate market going? Right now, I know here in Wisconsin, people are selling their home to the highest bidder. So if they put their offer out,
Yes, yeah,
people
that
are overbidding and
yes, yeah, we had that wave. I think last summer there were several um, clients that, yeah, they were definitely overbidding other, because it definitely was a seller's market, and people were just outbidding, you know, tens of thousands of dollars more than what they were asking, just so that they could get the house. Just an example, but that I don't see that much today, although, with I guess the interest rates kind of like coming down and kind of leveling out, things are starting to pick up, obviously, because, life happens, nothing stops. And so you gotta live somewhere, right? So, and anyway, so, you have all of these life events, whether you're downsizing or getting married, divorced, babies, whatever, you know, you're always going to need a place, whether it's something smaller than what you have now or something larger. So there's always stuff going on. Um, and it tends to slow down a little bit during the winter months. But it's beginning to pick up. So like springtime is like the ramp up season. Summertime is the peak season, most likely because of, kids are out of school, and the parents don't want to, um, transfer their kids mid school year, things like that. Um, but yeah, it's beginning to ramp up now as far as number of inspections and
Hey, Jim, I'm going to steal a quote from you real quick, and then
oh, okay, all right,
this was a post you put out, and I'll laugh.
yes,
Spring is in the air. So to me, that relates to baseball. But you
uh-huh.
think, is your home ready for warmer weather? A home inspection can help identify any potential problems before they turn into major headaches.
Oh
And
yes,
you can see Jim's got his contact info here, and there's an email address. And if you really want to get into it, you can add this bad boy and go on there and make yourself an appointment and connect with Jim. So there's my
yeah.
plug for you,
Oh,
Jim.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, like maybe I say this to you, Mark, but I say anytime's a good time for a home inspection, right? So
Right.
you, it's just one of those things that you should periodically do, and there's different scenarios, whether you're a home buyer or seller, or you've been in your house for a very long time and you're just curious as to what needs to be fixed. um, so yeah, there's all sorts of scenarios on where a home inspection is a good thing.
yeah, so it doesn't have to be with the buying or selling the real estate. You just want a good thorough inspection to see the condition of your home so you can plan for any upgrades that you're considering or repairs that your furnace or air conditioning, water
Mhm.
heater, plumbing issues, electrical issues. So you get a good comprehensive report of the home so that people can make good planning decisions.
That's correct. Yes, exactly. So I come in and I basically document the current state of the house, and yeah, then typically the client will take it from there, whether they act on the issues that I find or and prioritize or what have you. There's all sort of all different sort of scenarios. But yeah, that's basically what I do is I go in and I identify the deficiencies, and it's really up to the client on how they want to proceed with it. But it's my job to make them aware of those deficiencies.
From my perspective, being involved in the industry for years myself in the mortgage industry in California, knowing a little bit about real estate, I would never buy a property without a home inspection.
Hmm.
We're seeing it all the time now because they want to sweeten their offer so that
Yes.
the seller doesn't have to make a cure on something to get the deal. Is there any time in a real estate transaction that a home inspection isn't warranted or not necessary?
Uh, well, if you ask me, I would say no. I would say you would always get one, but yeah, there's so I guess some agents, tend to play that game. Hopefully they don't play it that often, but no, I'm obviously from my point of view, like I was telling you before, anytime's a good time for a home inspection, and I think you should always get one just because, you know, it's better to know the current state of your house, and then you can come up with a game plan on how you want to tackle the deficiencies. And
That's a good point.
it is, yeah. uh,
Are people reluctant to do it, Jim? Like, let's say they're going to sell their home. Are they
yeah.
reluctant to have you come in and
Some are, I mean, and yeah, I mean, some are, they don't, or if it's like an investor, they just claim that, oh, well, I never lived there. I don't know what was going on when maybe they had one when they bought the property. Should hope so, but I typically see that too a lot with investment properties. Like they kind of play dumb and say, I never lived there, so I don't know what's going on.
Tom,
So
do you think people would do something like that? Come on.
I don't know. It's maybe not everyone, but
No,
occasionally you do that. But
we know what you're saying.
yeah, but I mean, as far as sellers, I mean, of course, I would recommend it for buyers and sellers. I mean, let's say most of my business is with buyers, but I work with sellers as well, and I think it's a good thing because you're educating yourself on the state of your house. You don't necessarily have to you know act on and get those things repaired, but it would benefit you if you did and you had the budget to do so. Then you can always ask for more money when you go to sell. But at least that's the idea behind the what we call the pre-listing inspection.
Okay. What were the two things? Now, we talked last time you were on, we talked about radon.
Yes.
Like you were just mentioning, what was the other one that you're doing now?
Oh, there's like formaldehyde.
Yeah, formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde, and that's typically like with new construction, which by the way, I can do 3 different inspections for new construction. But so formaldehyde is mostly found in new construction, and it's typically in all of the newer building materials like sheetrock and laminated flooring and carpet and things like that. Essentially, it turns out formaldehyde can be just as bad as radon is if the level is high enough, because it's like radon. You don't really know it's there. Maybe you could smell it a little bit better, but I don't know. My nose isn't that sensitive, so
Right.
but it can be, and it is just as bad as radon. Turns out that formaldehyde is just as bad and can cause cancer. So
Things that we
it's
don't think about, but they're so important, right? Really
yes,
important in your
correct.
decision
Yes,
making. You're going to have
exactly.
to live there, so you should know if it's safe to live there with air quality, formaldehyde, radon, termites, mold, all the things that could affect our health.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and I guess most people, well, at least some of the clients that I have worked with, they don't realize that mold is everywhere, and so it's best to test, like especially if you do have allergies and are sensitive, then it's always good to test for mold as well, or do like uh, indoor air quality. I have come across some homes where I have seen physical mold, but it's very rare. But I can handle those situations and get those samples as well for uh, the lab to test. Uh, yeah, so typically, I don't know if you want me to tell you how that works, but I mean, I since mold is everywhere, I do a background sample, and then typically I'll do two indoor samples. Complaint area, if there's no visible mold, then I'll take an air sample, and then a non-complaint area, which is typically an indoor air sample. And then those samples go to the lab, and they will break down in the report. Um, the indoor samples are either less, the same, or more than the outdoor sample, and then it will break it down into the different mold types, like whether it's toxic or allergenic, and then the levels or the amounts that were actually captured. And
Hey,
then
Jim,
you can, yes,
what
sir.
causes that? Like
What?
mold.
Oh, well, mold is mostly due to, so you have moisture and you have materials that uh, absorb or attract moisture. And once they become wet, that's when the mold grows.
Okay.
And so that's typically how you get mold in your house. If you have, say, a roof leak or some kind of moisture leak, whether it's from your plumbing or what have you, or your roof, if you don't address it right away, it could become a bigger problem. Um, Not
Hmm.
only the damage to your house, but also to your health, because of, if you're really sensitive to mold, then you're gonna um, have some health issues.
Is there any time when those reports come back that would cause an agency, a city, municipality, or whatever to condemn a house because of mold?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I have encountered some pretty moldy houses, and they were really extreme. Now, I don't know if they were reported to the municipalities and if they've actually condemned them. I don't know. But I do know, maybe this is a side thing, but I do know that has happened with lead, which is another thing. I don't personally test for that because I'm not licensed, but that that has happened here in Atlanta with lead. But I don't know if anything like that with mold. There probably could. I'd have to look it up and research that, but off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay.
Interesting.
As if I was a buyer, I'd want to know, or if I'm a seller, I'd like to know as well. Which
Oh, yes, yes.
it could be a deal breaker, right? If the mold content is way beyond the curable phase. There's at some point
Oh,
it's not curable. So
yes. Yes, luckily I haven't encountered too many of those, just maybe less than a handful of homes that I've inspected where, and you can tell like right when you walk in, if your nose is pretty sensitive and the mold is level is really high, I mean, you're gonna know right away. If you haven't, if you don't see it when you walk in, you're certainly gonna smell it and it's gonna hit you right in the face. But
Right.
yeah.
I know mold's a big deal. We had here, I live in a condominium complex, and we had our fire suppression system. We had a heavy freeze, so the pipes froze and burst, and we had unbelievable amount of water. And that was the biggest concern that we had, is acting proactively so that we didn't get any mold issues. Because when you have a 3-story building and you get mold and you get degradation of studs and roofing and all that type of stuff because of the mold, it could be a very expensive project. So they did a lot of, what would you call it, testing for mold, making sure that before they buttoned everything, put new walls back up and all that, they wanted to make sure there was no mold whatsoever.
Yes.
That protected, especially in a multi-unit residential complex like a condo, we've got to protect not just the units that were affected, but the whole complex as well.
Right.
To maintain that property value. You get that negative thing out there, no one's going to buy the properties, right?
Right, exactly. Because if you don't address it, then it could potentially spread and become a even more costly issue or problem for sure.
Yeah.
And
One of our listeners mentioned here that formaldehyde, you have to explain this one to me, is also found in cigarette smoke. So yeah, that's an interesting concept.
Wow. Yeah. That'll give you cancer, right? Well, I mean, we kind of knew that.
I think we already
But maybe that's kind of related. I thought it was the nicotine, but maybe it could be partly the formaldehyde too, because that certainly can doesn't
treating these products with, right?
Yes. Right.
Well, Jim, seriously, how can we help you get more business? What can we do to help you this evening? I mean,
well, I think you've done quite a bit, because I promoted my my online booking, which is like my latest thing, and then my contact information.
Right down here.
Yeah.
And then
do you do any consulting with other home inspectors, or do you network with outside the state of Georgia with any other home inspectors, that type of thing? Collaboration?
No. Well, I mean, I personally, no, I have not. I was thinking I could possibly, like if I were, say, I don't know if I'd have to be licensed in that state. I possibly could maybe do like a ride along with them, but I don't know what the state requirements are for states outside of Georgia. Like if I were to say go to another state, and obviously the inspectors there have to go through so many hours of that before they are issued a state license. So maybe I would be considered like an inspector in training at that point. I don't know, because I've never have inspected outside of the state of Georgia. So that's an interesting question, because I would like to do that. I just don't know if legally I can. Maybe I can, but I don't know.
that's a great point.
Yeah. Sorry if I answered your question or not, maybe.
Going back to going into business, What's the
Yeah.
greatest joy that you have in your business? Your why? What gives you the biggest amount of pleasure for doing what you do?
Oh, it's using my education and knowledge and educating my community, because I want to be there to help them understand, you know, their the house that they're looking at, what they're getting themselves into, you know what I mean? So I want to be the um the educator and educate my community on
Right.
all things home inspection, I guess. Um, and that's my why, is to give back and just spread that knowledge to future home buyers, or just future homeowners, I guess, in general, whether you're buying or selling or what have you. So I guess
With the real estate industry, agents, they look at you good guy or bad guy cop.
That's a good question too, because it depends. I mean, it's a very fine line because, you know, I'm there to find the problems,
Jim can
and
make or break a deal,
I
lot of reason does.
I consider myself a non-alarmist,
Right.
but again, it's a very fine line because you don't want to not spot something and then have them come back and say, "Oh, well, you missed this, this, and this," or whatever. But again, you don't want to be over dramatic and and lose the deal, so it's a very fine line, and I just do my job to explain to them, this is something common that I see a lot. I mean, I don't know if you know my tagline, but I always say every house is a new adventure. So I'm always learning something at every inspection that I do. However, I see the same similar things, whether it's electrical, plumbing, wood rot here or there. And I typically will tell my clients, this is something that I see a lot. It's easily fixable. It's not a big deal. Um, so I definitely inform them without being over dramatic, or I don't know what the right term is, but
Alarmist.
an alarmist,
I
right?
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And when a buyer is buying a property or a real estate agent, does the selling agent refer the recommendation, or is it up to the buyer to find their home inspector? Where does that lead come from
So
with fiduciary responsibilities?
so it usually it's with the buyer agent, but I guess it depends on the agent whether they do both listings and um, on if they work on both sides. But typically it's the buyer agent, and sometimes they'll just have a list and they'll leave it up to the client, or they'll have like a small list of preferred um, people, and they'll just uh, call each other, and who's ever typically is available, um, that's that's typically who gets the job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jim, what big projects do you have coming up? Anything that potential big project you have coming up? Since
Potential
we're
big projects.
well,
Um,
or
like
any increase in your business that you're noticing right now since we're getting into spring and
uh, well, I mean, I have done a lot of radon, not this year, but last year I
really?
did a lot of radon. Yes. Yeah. I did a lot of radon. So so I have like three big added services. Like radon was big, then mold, um, sewer scope. I did some, but also, I probably should have looked it up
Oh, that's
beforehand. But no, those are typically the most requested added services, or radon and mold, water quality, sewer scope, because sewer scope can happen at any time. It doesn't matter whether it's new construction, old construction, you know.
Yeah, because I think having a sewer scope would be important to know if there's any issues, whose responsibility is it at the city level, or is because there's a demarc line, I call it, where the
Yes,
city's responsible from that point forward and you're responsible from the other direction. So
right.
a sewer inspection would help determine whose responsibility it is.
Yes, yes, and I guess my point also, not only to do that, but I was going to say, I think I mentioned that it didn't matter whether it's new construction or old construction. The only time you wouldn't do a sewer scope is, say, for say like a condo that wasn't on the ground floor. That's really the only time you
Oh,
wouldn't do a sewer scope. Any other time, whether it's, you know, uh, standalone home or, you know,
That
townhouse.
grade property.
Yes, exactly. So those are typically the more requested added service is those three.
Well, every time we get together, it's sort of, I get something new from our conversations. So I
Okay.
appreciate
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
your
I'm happy to
expertise.
come again for sure. Yeah, because again, I'm always learning stuff. I recently took a sewer scope class.
really?
Yeah, in January. So you know, I'm always learning stuff. Like again, this January was a sewer scope. But yeah, I'm always learning something new so that I can always, you know, and not only educate myself, but pass that education and knowledge onto my clients.
Yeah.
And Jim, if you don't mind, if anybody's just joined us, how does Pillar to Post educate all you franchisees? What do you do, whether it's I I don't know if it's week to week, month to month, or do you have an annual meeting? How does that play into things? And do you have the ability to talk amongst your other fellow franchisees and what they encounter out there in the marketplace?
Oh yes, yeah, and that's the thing about our annual brand conference. So typically we meet at the beginning of the year. So we have ours usually January or early February, and we all come together and I guess I was going to say network, but you know, meet the other franchise business owners and just share our experiences. You know, what works for them, what doesn't, and then you know, if you're having an issue, they can tell you, oh well, this is how I resolved that issue, and then you can. And again, it doesn't just have to be that one time, but it's just a good time to get together, and we do have classes. Again, I had the sewer scope class, for example, but we always have some educational classes where we can, you know, use it throughout the rest of the year and then into the next year. And we also get ASHI credits for that, attending those. Um, and that's not where it stops. I mean, since I'm in ASHI, they have their education, and I meet with them quarterly now. We have a Georgia chapter, and so we have people come in on various subjects, whether it's um, electrical or sewer, or even um, like agreements, like with respect to our agreements and insurance that we purchase and help protect us um, we had a representative come in and talk to us about that. So
Okay.
it covers, all aspects of the business, and we're doing it throughout the year. So if there's anything new, then typically there's a class to follow so that we get all the updated information and we're kept up to date with the latest and greatest things that are going on in the industry.
Cool.
I'm sharing some comments I'm getting in here. Robert
Oh.
said he likes the word alarmist, so maybe you
Oh.
ought to use that.
Well, I'm a non-alarmist. I'm not an alarmist, but I definitely try not to be again.
And his other question is, did you ever find anything alive with your sewer scope when you're doing it?
No, I have not, but I have come across some how can I put it, some skeletons.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some
How
yeah.
interesting. Of animals I partake.
Animals, yeah, and
Please
yeah.
don't tell me humans. That's
No,
feel good.
personally, I haven't found any human skeletons, although I have heard of other inspectors finding them. Yes, yeah.
Wow, I don't know if I'd want to live
In the
there.
crawl space or in the basement or in the walls, right?
Exactly. Yes. Right. Yes.
Oh, hey, you know what you forgot to do here? Tell us the
Oh.
award that
Oh
you.
yeah. Yeah. So I was recently I don't know what the right word is, declared or so I'm on several networks like business networks. Alignable is the one that I got this recent award on,
And what
and
was
it's
it called, Jim? What was the award called?
so it's called the 2024 Local Business Person of the Year in Peachtree Corners. So um, again, you go on the website and you network with other business owners, whether they're local or in other states, and you get to know them. And then every year they have this I want to say contest, but people get to vote for their favorite business person, and whoever gets the most votes in your particular area or location, then they declare you a local business person of the year. And so this year I was voted business person of the year in Peachtree Corners.
Tree Corners.
Congratulations.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you know that was coming, or how did they determine?
Oh, did I know? No, I certainly did not. I mean, I was doing a lot of networking on there, um, and yeah, just
Is that the
meeting.
local chapter in Peachtree Corners, Alignable, or is it the overall?
So Alignable is nationwide. However, they do have local groups, and so they do have like a Gwinnett County Alliance.
Mhm.
And they meet online and they meet in person, and I've been to several of those, and you just get to meet other business people
Nice.
in your county, other business owners in your county, and then they have some at the city level, like there's one in Alpharetta
So this would be Gwinnett
Alliance.
County Alignable. Is that what you're pretty much?
Yes, I mean I'm in other groups too because they have other like subject matter groups. Like for example, they have stuff on AI. If you're interested in learning about AI, you go in and join that group, and there's people that post information. They have meetings and discussions on various topics, or they have like I was going to say it's kind of like a mastermind or a brain dump where they have just sessions where people, if they have a question about a certain thing, you just show up and somebody has an answer. And hopefully you get an answer to your question. And that's another, I guess, way to expand your business or get help in your business is by doing that. Um, I just said AI because that's one thing that I've been, kind of focusing on lately in how I can, enhance my business with AI.
So Tom, are you doing anything with AI in your business or businesses?
Uh, well, if you knew my writing skills and my English skills,
You're using it as a reference.
I'll write some content, but you don't want me to post it, for one
Okay.
reason or another.
It's all
So
good.
I run it through any Word to fix the grammar
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
reformulate the content with a specific flavor. Yeah, so I use some AI
No,
as
that's
well.
good.
Yeah.
I think it's a great tool to use.
Mhm.
Some people want to use it for everything, and
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but I do think it's a good tool. It's a good reference point.
Yes.
Now they're
It's
doing things like what we're doing right here to teach classes that you can actually have a person looks like Jim right now, but it's an AI type outline and detail of a course or a program or a. I won't get into it, but if that's what you want to do, great. I just feel that person to person, face to face, or either this way is kind of cool because
oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not
No, I
pre-packaged and pre-programmed. But if that's what you're into and your audience is into that, I guess that's a good thing.
right. And I think the main premise that I'm looking for is how AI can, enhance my business or take over a lot of the, you know, mundane and redundant tasks that you you have to do as a business owner, but don't really like doing, or it takes up a lot of your time. So,
Right.
you try to find ways where AI can fit and do those things, and that way, obviously, you don't ignore it, but you still um, check in with it once in a while to make sure it's working and it's working like you want it to. But it's just, um,
Hey, hey, Jim, just real
yes,
quick,
sir.
why don't you
Yep.
share with Tom also on Mondays? This is like once a month, what Toby or Lisa will do when we're all sitting there after our first cup of coffee kicks in, and we go around the room, and
Mhm.
and have to give a little. I hate the word elevator pitch, but it's a
Oh,
pitch
yes.
of who you are, why you joined, and what you offer, what you bring to the table, so to speak. That's always fun. Because
Yes.
last month we had a, um, a police officer there as well.
Yes.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Definitely. The COPS is definitely something I like to get involved with too, with my community as well. Just I don't know. I just have always, like I was gonna say, since I'm into technology and we use a lot of cameras and stuff, and that's kind of what
Yeah,
the officer was talking about.
share that with Tom what he talked about. This is pretty cool stuff. I thought. It's just
Yeah, so they basically were asking local business owners that had on-site cameras of their business if they would allow the police department access to those devices for criminal investigations, to help it not only enhance but advance and hopefully expedite, the not only the evidence gathering, but hopefully would lead to a quicker prosecution of the criminals. So that's the whole, I guess, premise of of this. I was going to say community, but this part of this
Right.
group that has access to that and is able to share that information with them, with the policemen.
Yeah, I thought it was a good point. We actually had a police officer, so I felt safe. I didn't get a ticket that day. As a
Oh,
matter of fact, when I left the meeting, this is a true story. There was a guy that whizzed by, and he just kind of did a double take, and I'm like, wonder if he's gonna do something. Yeah. He just kind of looked. I kind of waved to him. I was in my car, and he kind of nodded, smiled, but it was just kind of interesting to watch. There he was walking. I'm thinking, okay, you're going to do that right in front of a police officer. Okay, whatever. Since we were talking about AI, Robert threw another one. He said he's tried a few AI image generators, GPT-4, and they said there are some good results, but like we all said, there's much to learn on this.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of dabbled in the AI generators, the image generators, but
Yes.
since I'm in a photography club, that's a big no. I mean, you can use the tools, like if you need to enhance the color or resize or whatnot, and a lot of the new photography programs, Lightroom, for example, they do use AI for those specific tools now. So you can just configure it once, or you just tell it what you want, and off it goes, and it does it. But the one thing that and actually, I don't know if I can bring it up or not, but our photography club technical webinar is actually, this next one is going to be on AI. So it should be a good, and how it impacts the photography world and stuff like that. So it should be a good discussion
I
on
guess I
that.
could take a picture, make it look like an Ansel Adams photograph, right, with the AI, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's text to image, so you can just say, I want a picture of mountains with a bridge or this, that, and the other, and then boom, it just starts to draw all different ones, and then you pick out the one you like.
Wow, that's
So there's that. There's other ones where you can say, I want this object in the photograph to be something else. Like, for example, say it's like an automobile, and you say, I want it to be Santa's sleigh, and then boom, all of a sudden there's Santa's sleigh in place of the car. Just crazy things like that.
oh my.
Yeah.
See what we're going to get replaced with, Tom. There'll be no more streaming. It'll be AI generated. No, I'm teasing.
Yeah,
that's right.
They have avatars now too. I don't know if you knew that, but you can upload your picture and it will generate a person, and you can do all these cool, when I say cool, kind of movie things. You can generate scripts, or you can ask AI generate a script for this particular thing. You can upload photos and it will generate a movie, and your avatar will actually narrate. You can have your avatar narrate the script. So it looks, and it could be in your voice too. They actually have AI that if you take a voice sample of your own voice and upload it,
that's
it
scary.
will be the avatar, and it will be speaking with your voice. I've seen a few, I've seen on some streaming channels, I've seen one commercial where it's about a phone or whatever, and I'm pretty sure it's AI, because just the way that it looks and the way that it talks, it just looks like an AI generated commercial. So I'm like, that's got to be AI generated commercial because it doesn't. It looks a little cartoonish still, but
Right.
it's sort of realistic. But again, it's not quite realistic. So if you look hard enough,
Profile pictures, they're doing that now. It's a
yes,
slow cartoon look. It's
right,
you can tell it's you, but it's got
yes.
the little
Oh, I
cartoonish.
know. I've made some myself. I've uploaded pictures of myself, and yeah, and then I was going to say which I already mentioned. The crazy thing is you can actually animate them and have them speak with your voice,
Oh wow.
whatever you want. You just give it a script.
So
And
before we leave here, he
yes.
said, if you have a motorcycle, one of the prompts I entered produced a coconut theme helmet wrap. Then this is Robert.
Oh,
Only Robert, his outside thinking, that was inspired by someone I know getting hit on the head by a coconut while on the beach on vacation. So,
oh,
you could probably do just about anything out there with this.
oh, yeah. And I was going to add one last thing as far as like, well, home inspection, but I've seen it AI. Like I was mentioning, our visual inspection summary, the 3D virtual tour, you can actually say if you're an agent and you have a vacant house, now you can actually virtually stage it with AI. So like if you need a couch or coffee table, a bed, and some nightstands, all you have to do is plug that in, and boom, it puts it right in the room.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, I don't have time to do all that. How about you, Tom?
I'm still trying to figure out sometimes how to turn my computer on
I
while I'm
know,
trying to
I
run
know,
through.
I know. Those of us from the boomer and beyond generation were but seriously, Jim, I've got your info down here, and we do want to thank you for being here this evening
Yeah.
and giving of your time. As
Yes, sir.
always, it's very educational, entertaining. We never know
Yeah.
where it's going to take us.
No.
And with that stated, all my friends and neighbors at Peachtree Corners Business Association, which Jim is a member, I am
Yeah.
a member as well. Tom, in his own right's a member in absentia, all the way out there, in Wisconsin. But I know he's a member of numerous organizations. Uh, I challenge you to get in touch with myself or even Tom. Reach out and let us know what you want to talk about. I know you'll see me at the next coffee meeting, the morning coffee meeting. I love going to those. It's a great way to start your day, 8:30 to 9:30, and I'm sure I'll be talking to Miss Lisa and Toby, and we'll get them on board. And for you fundraisers, my last thing, I have a sneaking suspicion you're going to be talking to the gentleman below here on the screen, Tom Ginn, about some uh, fundraising possibilities, what you're currently doing, and how to accentuate it and take it to another level. So, with that, that's all I have this evening to offer. But Tom, you got anything to end it on, or?
No, I'm in the foundation phase of starting the fundraising company, Queue Up Fundraising. Um, so I've got content being written, stuff for my website, all that. But the fundraising opportunity, anybody that has a fundraising need, I'd love to talk to you and show you what the dynamics of this fundraising service that we're marketing to nonprofits. It can be very lucrative. It may be the last fundraising vehicle that an organization would use to fund their capital needs. So I'm pretty excited about being able to give, not personally write the check, but give a valuable service to a nonprofit so they can take it, put it in the marketplace to their membership and fund their cause. So I'm really excited about this venture I'm creating.
Right. Well, thank you, Tom. And remember to connect here with Jim. I've got his contact info, and I'll do this for the last time. Jim, so they fire up and blow up your email and your web page,
Okay. Yes.
770-575-7813. And that's
Yes.
jim.skursky@pillartopost.com.
Yeah.
And Jim, we wish you much continued success.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll have you back again.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I'll
It's a pleasure
certainly,
to have you on, Jim. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And you're even wearing he's even wearing his shirt there, the Pillar to Post. That's a
Yes.
company man there. And it's his
Yes.
own franchise. So that's awesome.
Yep.
And hopefully we can get some of your corporate people, because correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, isn't it Canada that you're kind of?
Yeah, so our headquarters is in Canada. We are the largest home inspection company in North America.
Wow.
But it did start in Canada back in, gosh, it's been close to 30 years now. So like 28 years, 1996, was it? Something
That's
like that.
incredible.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, guys, that's all I got. And I just want to thank everybody that was here. And I know Tom always says, like, share. Maybe you weren't on this particular time frame, but you may catch the replay of this, because it will go out there on YouTube, Facebook, and the Big X. I'm assuming as well. I have a problem calling that thing X, but Twitter is now X. That could be a story in itself one day. So.
Well, Jim, I appreciate you coming on, Mark, as well.
Yes, sir.
Thank
And
you.
I'm so grateful for this opportunity to live stream, give credit back to Ken Walls and the Grow Live Academy. The doors it's opened up, the opportunities, expanding my horizon through people like Jim, and just meeting great people that are in the business community, like-hearted people that want to make a difference in their industry, in their space. So if you have a cause, a business, we'd be glad to promote you. I like the story of why do you do what you do? Like Big Simon Sinek says, why do you do what you do? People don't care what you do and how you do it, because somebody else is doing the same thing. But why do you do what you do is the most important thing. And Jim, you got a good why.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
So with that all said, we are sign out.
Okay. Well, thanks, Tom. Thanks again, Jim.
Oh, you're welcome.